The premise of presence. You detect it instantly when a human spirit is fractured. But consider the inverse. What occurs when your inherent presence silently reconstructs the atmosphere, operating entirely beneath the threshold of your conscious mind? There is an abrupt hush when you breach the perimeter of a room. A tangible, inexplicable pressure densifies the air. Do not mistake these for mere social coincidences or psychological projections. These are symptoms. They are the undeniable evidence of a consciousness resonating at a frequency that exceeds the capacity of its immediate container. Individuals of high vibration do not simply occupy space. They fundamentally altered the physics of their reality. They dominate the energetic field. They force the collapse of pretense. By simply remaining uncompromisingly authentic, they suspend the ordinary, linear march of time. I shall now illuminate 11 distinct experiences reserved exclusively for those who vibrate at this apex frequency. If you recognize these phenomena, it is because your deep, organizing energy announces itself long before you speak. The mechanism of influence. Prepare to understand the precise mechanics by which your distinction becomes your most potent magnetic weapon. You enter a space, and the tectonic plates of the room shift. No eyes need to meet yours, no voice needs to be raised, yet you are registered. There is a vibration that precedes the physical vessel, a presence that arrives before the anatomy. This is vibrational reality. True enlightenment, as I have stated, is not the fantasy of imagining light, but the brutal act of making the darkness conscious. When an individual aligns internally, the electromagnetic field surrounding them mutates. All matter vibrates, all matter emits a frequency. However, very few possess the discipline to maintain a vibration that mirrors their true soul. The majority of the population exists in static, scattered cognition, suppressed affect, rehearsed performance. You perceive this instantly when a person is concealing themselves. Their presence feels fractured, hesitant, a dissonance between what is said and what is broadcast. But when you align the inner world with the self, the organizing center of the psyche, you emit a signal of absolute coherence. Sign 1. The atmospheric override. Some arrive gently, yet the environment snaps to attention. Your presence is lucid and it commands the space. Your energy communicates when your tongue is still. Observers feel it. They cannot intellectualize it, but they recognize a deviation in the pattern. Your body silently declares, "I am real." The effect is immediate, sometimes subtle, often uncomfortable, but never neutral. This is the first phenomenon, the atmospheric override. Events begin to unfold that are subtle yet impossible to disregard. It is irrelevant whether you stand in a chaotic cafe, a corporate boardroom, or a market queue. The atmosphere reorganizes itself around you. This is not charm. It is not a social trick. It is the physics of alignment. I have spoken of the symbolic power radiating from the self. When the internal structure is aligned, the collective unconscious detects it. Devoid of logic or intent, the collective psyche responds to your silent organization. Your presence interrupts the invisible noise of the world. You are not imposing your will. The environment is simply reordering itself to match your coherence. This is a heavy responsibility. If you carry truth, wholeness, and presence, your vibration creates order out of the invisible chaos of others. Initially, this feels foreign, perhaps like judgment or alienation. It is neither. It is the field responding to a higher command. Sign 2. The disintegration of the mask. Your energy addresses the unspoken. Even in silence, you are broadcasting a frequency of revelation. This leads inevitably to the second experience, the disintegration of the mask. In your vicinity, social facades crumble. You were simply there,
listening intently, maintaining ocular contact, breathing with absolute presence. Suddenly, the other party begins to unravel. It starts with a shift in tonality, a prolonged pause, and unplanned confession. The dialogue plunges deeper than social convention allows. The truth surfaces not because you interrogated them, but because your energy provides no habitat for deception. High-frequency individuals carry a quiet, crushing integrity. Integrity acts as a gravitational well. It pulls in authenticity and pulverizes performance. I have referred to the persona as the social costume we wear for acceptance. However, in the proximity of a whole human, that costume slides off, often without the wearer's consent. You will frequently hear, "I do not know why I am telling you this," or "I have never admitted this to anyone." You did not request the truth, but the truth locates you. The subconscious of the other knows it is safe to disarm because you do not feign. Your lack of pretense acts as a permission slip for their vulnerability. You do not demand the truth, you allow it, and the field does not lie. What is real will always find its exit in your presence. Sign 3. The instinctive recognition. The third phenomenon defies logic. It is a reflex of nature. Biological recognition. Children fixate on you. Animals approach with an instinctive, primal trust. Children, uncorrupted by social conditioning, smile or approach without hesitation. They remain near you, silent, studying you as if recognizing a familiar frequency. Animals exhibit this even more profoundly. Agitated dogs sedate themselves in your shadow. Cats seek physical contact, lying down as if they have discovered a sanctuary in a hostile world. Nature responds to energetic coherence with immediate trust. The unconscious is a realm that processes symbols and archetypes without the need for cerebral translation. Animals and children exist in proximity to this dimension. They are not governed by social masks. They do not pretend to be what they are not. Consequently, they are magnetically pulled towards what is real. It is irrelevant what words you utilize. What matters is what you are. When your energy is clarified, centered, and purged of internal static, you transmit a signal these beings comprehend instantly. They read intention, not appearance. They are indifferent to your status or rhetoric. They assess only safety and reality. When they trust you, it reveals a profound truth. A soul aligned with the self emits a frequency that converses directly with instinct. This bond is silent, but it speaks of a closeness and peace that cannot be taught, only felt. Sign 4. Somatic intuition. The fourth experience often disorients those trapped in strict rationality. It is the emergence of somatic intuition. Knowledge arrives before the deduction. You find yourself in scenarios where nothing has been verbalized, yet you comprehend the subtext entirely. You detect the anomaly when appearances suggest perfection. You perceive the malice behind a smile or the tension in a room where everyone feigns happiness. I call this active imagination, the bridge connecting the conscious and unconscious. This is an inner dialogue relying not on linguistics, but on images, visceral emotions, and symbolic impulses. As alignment with the self solidifies, this channel widens. The soul speaks first. Your body becomes a calibrated sensor. Your skin reacts before your logic engages. You enter a space and map the openness, the resistance, the truth, and the performance. You possess an internal compass pointing towards authenticity when others are blind to it. This is a gift, provided you trust it. The intellect will attempt to argue, demanding evidence, but the soul knows. If you doubt this input, you are met with restlessness and the heavy discomfort of ignoring a vital warning. Intuition is wisdom without the delay of argument. It manifests as chills, sudden tranquility, symbols, or a dense silence. It is not mystical, it is functional. It is not predicting the future, it is protecting your truth.
The alchemical union. The fifth shift is invisible to the eye, but dictates every action, the integration of anima and animus. The war between opposites ceases, the dance begins. You realize you are not forced to choose between firmness and kindness, courage and sensitivity. Your strength need not be rigid, your empathy need not be fragile. My psychology defined this as the integration of the masculine, animus, and feminine, anima, principles. This is not a matter of gender, but of energetic physics. Within you exists a force that structures and decides, animus, and a force that nurtures and intuits, anima. In the process of individuation, these forces stop competing and begin collaborating. You operate in a state of strategic wholeness. You act with sensitivity. You listen with direction. Your communication clarifies. Your decisions gain precision, not because they are purely logical, but because they are total. Crucially, you cease seeking external compensation for internal lack. Disconnected individuals search for their missing halves in others, creating dependency and repetition. The high vibrational individual has transcended this. You have faced your imbalances and realized harmony is an internal manufacturing process. This gives you a center. You are gentle yet direct, rational yet intuitive. The world feels this rare presence, the vibration of a human who is no longer fighting a civil war against themselves. Intolerance for the superficial. There arrives a moment when participation in shallow discourse causes actual physical distress. You attempt to engage, to smile, to feign lightness, but your vitality drains as if leaking from a wound. This is the sixth sign, the rejection of noise. It is not arrogance, it is energetic incompatibility. Superficiality becomes a toxin. You can no longer counterfeit interest in scripted dialogues or interactions devoid of essence. Connections maintained only by the body and not the soul become unsustainable. You feel the autopilot nature of the conversation, the hollow laughter, the fear of silence. Your field, which once shrank to fit in, now refuses to compress. The path to becoming whole demands the abandonment of everything resonating at a lower frequency than your soul's truth. This sorting process is spontaneous. You drift away not out of judgment, but out of preservation. You remain kind, but the truest part of you is withheld from spaces lacking presence. In a world revolving around distraction and convenience, vibrating with truth feels like breathing a different atmosphere. You do not require profundity at every second, but you demand reality. A shared silence is preferable to a noisy lie. This shrinks your circle, but it purifies your space. In the silence that remains, you finally hear yourself. The triggering of shadows. A pattern emerges when your energy ascends. You enter spaces, and the shift occurs not within you, but within them. It begins subtly, a sideways glance, illogical resistance. It grows into projection, judgment, and unexplained hostility. Your presence acts as a floodlight in a room others prefer to keep dim. This is the seventh experience, the illumination of the shadow. You perceive the repressed, rejected, and denied aspects of others, the shadow, and you remain unshaken. Because you have faced your own demons and made peace with your own darkness, you become a threat to the unintegrated ego. You carry a light that does not aim to impress, but to reveal. You are not provoking them intentionally, you are simply being. This triggers a reaction. Some withdraw. Others attack. Some are drawn in only to flee when the mirror becomes too clear. The vital realization is that you do not take this personally. You distinguish between valid criticism and projection. You know when the irritation directed at you is a reflection of the unresolved conflict within the accuser. This grants you absolute freedom. You cease explaining yourself. You do not dim your light to accommodate their comfort. You understand the unconscious game, and you refuse to play it. The distortion of time. Some individuals accelerate chaos. They bring anxiety and rush. You do the inverse. When you approach, the world decelerates, words gain gravity, silence becomes habitable. This is the 8th sign, the creation of timelessness. Your presence suspends the urgency of the world. The psychological time that traps humans in expectation and memory loses its grip in your vicinity. You inhabit the now fully, and through resonance, you pull others into it. In your presence, people hear themselves clearly. Their restlessness subsides. You do not impose peace. You are peace. This requires inner silence, a refusal to be distracted by the trivial. You have made peace with your own emptiness. Even in chaos, you hold a steady center, like the eye of a storm. People are drawn to this stability. They will confess, "I feel lighter near you," or "Time seems to stop when we speak." Your frequency dilates time because truth operates on a different rhythm than the frantic pace of the ego. Invisible permanence. Some speak incessantly yet vanish the moment they exit the room. They are noise. Then there are those who say little, occupy no forced space, yet leave a mark that time cannot scour away. This is the 9th experience, invisible permanence. You are remembered long after you depart. The silence you leave behind speaks. It is not charm, it is the persistence of your field. The self, once accessed, emits a living symbolic force. You touch the unconscious of others, leaving a trace in their emotional memory. You do not need physical presence to maintain symbolic presence. Anyone who encounters you in a moment of truth cannot forget it. You may have been silent, but your wholeness was loud. You became a mirror, a refuge, or a catalyst. Even if they cannot name it, they feel the echo. In the midst of noise, a thought of you returns. You passed by, but you remained. Where there is vibrational coherence, there is invisible permanence. The armed peace. The 10th experience is a specific misunderstanding. Because you vibrate in peace, the world assumes you are passive, easily manipulated, or conflict-averse. They are mistaken. True peace is not the absence of conflict. It is conscious presence within it. You channel peace, but you do not avoid necessary confrontation. You know how to breathe and listen, but you also know how to deliver an undeniable no. I spoke of the transcendent function as the ability to hold the tension of opposites. You do not suppress anger, you transmute it into clarity. You do not deny discomfort, you utilize it as data. This confuses observers. How can someone so centered be so formidable? How can such gentleness possess such rigid boundaries? The answer is simple. You are at peace because you hide from chaos. You are at peace because you have mastered navigation through it. You are not passive, you are present. Your firmness is rooted in your center. You do not feign emotion to maintain a superficial truce. You do not sacrifice truth for comfort. You know that genuine alignment often requires the breaking of a structure to allow for healing. You can withstand another's discomfort without collapsing. Your peace has a spine. The light forged in darkness. The final sign is not seen, but felt as a density in the air. It is a light that does not flash, but permeates. This is the 11th reality, the light of the underworld. Your luminosity is the result of the darkness you have traversed. This is not the shallow optimism of books or mantras. This high vibration was forged in pain, in the fall, in the dark night of the soul. Those who vibrate at the apex today are those who have visited the nadir. You did not rush through your suffering. You inhabited it. You sat with your monsters. You mourned the versions of yourself that had to die. You kept moving when all seemed lost. Enlightenment is not imagining figures of light. It is making the darkness conscious. You know this because you have walked that internal tunnel. You did not arrive here by accident. You built yourself. Your presence carries the weight of demons faced and conquered. Your energy is dense and real because it is not a performance of wellness. It is the result of survival. You chose to remain whole when the world tried to shatter you. Your light is composed of scar tissue that has learned to glow. It signals to others that rebuilding is possible. High vibration is not a status